So this is the latest update of my wife's Porsche Cayenne. We bought it about 64,000 miles. It has just had its 90,000 mile service. There is a contingent of you watching this that are waiting for the car to explode. There's just not another way to put it. You're just expecting at any minute it's all going to go horribly awry. While the maintenance itself can be expensive to have it done, random stuff just doesn't break. It just runs. Now, yes, a 90,000 mile car should just run, but you could compare it to Paul's just barely over a year old Jeep. It actually has had far more weird issues than this 90,000 mile Cayenne.
I'm used to driving my Jeep around, of course. It feels big and heavy. Just getting into this car, and it feels lighter, and it just feels so rock solid. Like, road trip, let's go camping. And you know, there's some scuffs and nicks and things that I would go, ugh. But they drive that, and they're proving the use of this car.
This has a few little body issues. It's got some nicks, it's got some panels that aren't perfect. It's our family car. We take it skiing, we bang around in it. It's not too precious for us, and so it just has life that happens. So what's broken? Well, only a couple of things. One is you can see the seatbelt has an electric lift on it. You can actually change what the height of the seatbelt attachment point is. The passenger side is broken. It'll go down, just not up. Okay, I'm not going to spend the money to dig in and try to find the problem with that. One other thing, though, is the key, which is a piece of, it's bad. It's not good. This key design is terrible and breaks easily and just separates into pieces, and you wind up with a piece over here and a battery on the floor. I don't think this is the most attractive Porsche vehicle. I do think it's better than the first gen. I think the current gen Cayenne finally gets it right.
None of the cool nav stuff, none of the new interior design, the older style steering wheel, but it still works. It's still very well thought through. And the seats feel better than the Jeep seats. Why is it that the Germans just no seats?
So this is the smallest engine of the Cayenne lineup. This V6 has a little under 300 horsepower and about 250 pound-feet of torque. It is not a rock star engine, but it does have a decent amount of power, pretty high, above 4,000 RPM. It really can push this thing quite a bit. I mean, I'm at major altitude on a pretty big hill, and I can go if I want.
It's the V6. I can tell where the power just lets me down on the freeway on-ramp. But cruising along, it doesn't really feel any different in terms of power delivery from the V8 in my Jeep. I'm not noticing it to the point where I think, wow, this is just sluggish and can't get out of its own way, and I would never do this. It's great. I mean, I would love to have a GTS. I would love to have an S. I don't think anybody really needs the turbo.
Tiptonic gearbox is fine. It's a shiftable 6-speed. They aren't going to put the PDK in these Cayennes because the 6-speed is better for towing. It doesn't have any kind of PDK style response. That's just not a possibility here. As the standard automatic goes, it's pretty good. It's worlds better than the 6-speed automatic we had in our GMC Acadia. And it does actually listen to these shift buttons, even though that's not exactly a fast shifting paddle situation, but it's the family SUV. I don't know that you need that.
The Jeep does not deliver the feel on road that this does. It feels big, it feels heavy, but then there's this underlying nimbleness, and that's rare for a car as big as this is. I mean, you think about it, all the Fords, the Chevys, all those cars, they're excellent, and they're great for hauling and being a big, hulking SUV. But none of them, compared to this handling, none of them go as far as this does in terms of adding fun back into the equation. There's just a hint of it. Not much.
So while this is a huge, 5,000 pound, full-size SUV, it is surprisingly agile. You get into it right after Paul's Jeep Cherokee, and this feels significantly better to drive. It's got more information through the steering wheel. It feels much lighter on its feet. There's only about 200 pounds between these cars.
Just upon turn-in, it doesn't squish like the Jeep does. And both of these cars, my Jeep and this car, they're on the same kind of tire. They're both on Blizzaks. So I cannot liken it to tires. I mean, the Jeep is even low profile. It's got 20s on it. This has 18. So I can't even say that. It does shine through. There is a difference in the handling here.
I don't drive this all the time. It's primarily my wife's car. Every time I drive this, I'm impressed with how solid it feels, how tight it is on the road, how much it can just deal with high-speed handling on a freeway, and all of the stuff that normal life gives you, this does, and feels agile and easygoing and really well built.
It's now at 90,000 miles, and it feels rock solid. It really does. Should I sell the Jeep, buy a less expensive Cayenne, and then put all that money towards the M2? I'm gonna have to be willing to beat on it a little bit, just like I do the Jeep. I mean, it's a harsh environment in Utah, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that.
It's not dramatic. I hate to say it. If you were expecting breakdown drama, this hasn't really come through for you. I am thrilled to say it just runs, and it's fun to drive, which is exactly what we're trying to do. So for a family vehicle, I couldn't be happier. And my wife is thrilled, which, as you know, if you're married, is a good thing.